I like Viking games. Sue me. Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, right here on the Dice Tower. Today we're going to be taking a look at this little fellow right here, Clans of Midgard, designed by Travis Chance and Alara Cameron from Grey Fox Games. I'm going to say this. It's a Blood Rage roll and write kind of. Let's get down to the table and take a look. So here I have a 3-player game set up for you. So basically each player is going to get 8 cards to begin with in a 3-player game. In a 4-player game, they're going to get 7 cards dealt to them. And basically this is going to be a closed draft where you're going to be taking the cards that you have in front of you, and they have all of these little symbols on them. The layout of the cards is fairly rudimentary. There's not a whole lot of flash going on in the cards. It's just a lot of information on them, and we'll go over what each of them do. But basically, you're going to be choosing one of those cards and keeping it, and then passing your cards to the next player. And you're going to be continuing doing that until you have drafted all 8 cards that are going to be in your hand. Now, there are a number of different things that the cards do. So first of all, with this one, you can see that there is this little tree up here in the top corner with the number 6 beside it. So these are offering cards, and they go all the way from 1 to 6, I believe. And so basically what's going to happen with these, whoever drafts the most offering cards is going to be able to take control of the god of that age. And this one specifically is Baldur, or Balder. And he has a game end special ability where he's going to get you some extra victory points if you accomplish a certain goal that he is going to put out there. Let's say that a couple of different people drafted the same number of offering cards. Well, then it's going to break down to what's the total number of your offering cards. And if it's still tied after that, whoever has the highest numbered or valued offering card is going to win the god of that age. But then after you look at that, on the top of the cards, you also have these symbols here, and these are Valkyrie symbols. Valkyrie symbols are going to let you roll this die during the combat phase, which we'll talk about later on, but only in that specific region, and only if that region is having a battle during the combat phase. Then you also have letters that are up here, and that's going to be filling in different letters on, or runes, if you want to say it that way, on this area of your player sheet. And then you also have monsters, and you have 4 different kinds of monsters that are up here. You have the sea monster, you have a dragon, you have trolls, and then you also have Draugr that are out here as well. And basically you're going to be scoring that many points if you can draft a pair of those monsters. And each monster you can only slay once per round, but it's possible for you to do all 4 in one round, but you can only do each monster once each round, and they're going to afford you that many points that'll be recorded in the slaying row on your sheet. Then you also have these purple numbers that are in the middle of the card, and those are glory points that you'll be able to write on your sheet right here. Each round, your glory points have to get larger than your last round. And if it doesn't, then you simply write a 0 in that round's box, so it makes it a little bit more easier for you to score more points the next round, because everything's going to be greater than 0. So that's the glory, the purple points, the purple circle in the center of the cards. You also have clans on each of the cards, and that's denoted by these little structures right here, or those little pictures right there. The clan that you have that you drafted the most cards for is going to be the clan that you're representing in the combat phase. So for example, if these were the cards that I had drafted this round, I would have 3 wolves, I would have 2 warthogs, a raven, and a snake. So my troops would be representing the wolf clan, basically, and I would be able to put my troops out onto the board into those specific areas, disregarding all of the clans that are on these other cards. And then finally, the cards are going to show Drakars at the bottom of the cards, and that's going to allow you to secretively, and this is the only part of the game that's actually kind of secretive, as according to when you fill this out. If you fill in a number of ships that get you past one of these little markers here, then you'll be able to send an additional troop out to that territory. So if this were my hand at the end of the game, I would have 4 Drakars. So I could maybe fill in one here, 2 here, and maybe put another one up here in yellow, and that would allow me 1, 2, 3, 4. That would allow me to send one more troop to the yellow province, one more troop to the blue, and one more troop to the pink province. And that's another thing that you do, but that's done secretively at the end of the draft. Okay, so here I've set up just a mock combat round so you can see how it works. So basically each territory has a number threshold, that is their combat threshold, which means that if there are not that many or more troops in that province, no battle is going to occur. So here, for example, in the yellow province or the yellow territory, there has to be 3 warriors here. There's only 1, so no battle occurs. So we go over to the green province. There are 4 and the threshold is 4, so a battle is going to occur here. We're going to check to see who has the Valkyrie symbol for that territory. Well, green is the territory, and so red player over here has the Valkyrie. So what they're going to do is they're going to roll this die, and that means they're going to do one of 2 different things. If they roll this symbol, they're going to be able to cross off the green Valkyrie symbol, and that's going to give them a number of points equal to how many they have crossed out at the end of the game. That's going to give them points. The other thing that could happen is you could roll 1 Valkyrie symbol or 2 Valkyrie symbols, and what that simply means, let's just say he rolled a 1, he's going to put an extra warrior into that area. Then we look to see who has the highest power for that area, and it's tied 2 to 2 between blue and red. So they will win both of them will win the battle, and they will be able to mark off that territory symbol right here. And you can only win each territory once throughout the course of the game. How many of these you've won throughout the course of the game is going to give you points at the end of the game. Then the players or any players who have stuff that's remaining, they have lost the battle, they will come up here and they will be able to be used to mark off horns in Valhalla after the combat round. So we continue over here. Blue also is red, so they're going to roll the Valkyrie die and they're able to add another one in here, and so they have won both of these. They will mark off the blue symbol. Both green and red will mark off the blue symbol here. The blue player that's left will come over here and lose because the threshold was reached. Up here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The threshold is 6, so no battle occurs. Over here the threshold is 5. We have 5, so we look at the person who has that territory for the Valkyrie symbol, and it is green. They're going to roll the die, and they're able to add another green warrior in there, but it wasn't enough to take over, so blue is going to be able to move their troops over to victory, and all 3 of these will move up here. If you have a Valkyrie symbol in an area that did not have a battle, you are able to go ahead and just mark off that Valkyrie symbol on your paper. You don't have to roll the die and get that slash result. If there is no battle there and you have the Valkyrie symbol, then you're able to mark it off on your player sheet. Then at the end of the combat round, what's going to happen here is all of the victorious troops are going to be added on the player sheet in their territory areas here. So blue would be able to add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They would be able to put a 5 here in that territory box, and then green is going to be able to put a 2, and red is going to be able to put a 4 in that first territory box. But let's say that you had some troops that were lost. What this is going to allow you to do, green is going to be able to mark off 3 horns. So they're going to be in order here. They're going to be able to go 1, 2, 3. Once you finish off a column, you can go ahead and circle the number just to remind you at the end of the game that you're going to be able to count those as points. Well, blue and red here were only able to mark off one horn on their Valhalla section of the board. After 4 rounds, you're going to go ahead and tally all of your points. Now, the way you tally points is for letters. For every row that you've completely filled in, you're going to be getting these points. For every column that you filled in, you're going to be getting these points. All of those are added together and put in up here. Then you're going to look at how many points you got from slaying monsters based on getting those pairs of monsters over the course of the game. And you're going to put that total here. You're going to get your glory points. All of those are added together and put down here. Then you're also going to get all of your territory points, and those will be put here. You're going to add up all of the, you're also going to get 1, 3, 6, 10, or 15 points based on how many of the different territories you were able to mark off. But territories are going to be your numbers here, plus the points that you get from the territory bonus, and those will be marked there. Then in Valhalla, you're going to be getting these points for completed columns of horns. If you have one that's halfway done, you don't get the points for that column, and you have to start over here and go over there. You can't go backwards. But you'll get these points added to any Valkyrie points. You'll get 1, 2, 3, 5, or 7 based on how many of these you had marked off throughout the course of the game. Those two things are added together and put here. And then any points that are given from God cards that you were able to control at the end of the game, those will be put right here, and then you'll put your total down at the bottom. Whoever has the most points is the winner. All right, so that's about that for Clans of Midgard. Now, as I said at the very beginning of the video, I like Viking games, sue me. So you're going to have to take that with a grain of salt as we're talking about this game. I like games that have a Viking theme on them, and that kind of puts them in a different kind of echelon for me than a lot of other people. If you don't like Viking games, that's okay. When I watched Tom's review of Clans of Midgard, I understood what he was saying about the fact that there's a very similar game out there that's already been made called Boomerangs. And I went and looked at it. I went and watched the review that Tom did of Boomerangs. And yes, there are some similarities, but I think there are also some very stark differences as well. When you're drafting your cards in this game, you're not showing them to anybody. You're drafting. It's a closed draft. You don't get to see what everybody's drafting. There's no throw, there's no catch, there's nothing like that. It's just basically a closed draft. You are drafting cards and you're keeping them secret until they are revealed, and you're going to be marking them on your player sheet. That's one of the differences there. There's also no combat in Boomerang, and there's no area control. So that mechanism also kind of struck me as being something that I'm more interested in rather than Boomerangs. Now, I will say this, never played Boomerangs. It could be an absolutely fine game, and I'm not even concerned about it. The theme doesn't reach out to me like this one does. That's just the long and the short of it. They are similar, I will give Tom that. But he said it's just another Viking game, and it's another Viking game in Champions of Midgard universe, and those are all things that I really enjoy. And so while you might feel like Tom does as well, it's just another Viking game. Who cares? I get that, and that's totally valid. But at the same time, a Viking game speaks to me where it might not speak to somebody else. So I'm interested in this game at the very least. I've got some reasons why. Let's go ahead and get to those. My first pro of this game is that it is a closed draft system, and I really enjoy closed drafts. I think it's a very fun way to make my group of warriors different than everybody else's group of warriors, because we're going to go after this particular thing or these two particular things during this round, but next round we're going to go after something else, and it just kind of infuses a little bit of extra strategy into it. I love closed drafts. Now, with that being said, I really enjoy drafting games in general, whether they're closed draft, open draft, whatever it might be. The little pyramid draft that Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth does. I really like drafting games a lot. So take that for what it's worth as well. That's why it's it's my first pro of this game. Because I really enjoy drafting. My second pro for the game is going to be one of the other perceived differences between this and Boomerang, and that is the combat/area control mechanism on the board. I like it in a lot of different games, and it's just one of those things that I really enjoy. So when I saw that this did have a combat mechanism in it, or an area control mechanism, if you want to call it that, then I was also drawn to it. I really enjoy that mechanism as a whole. A couple of things about it also are more pros for me. The Valkyrie mechanism is a really fun thing for me, specifically because you can call upon the Valkyries to help you in that battle if it's occurring, or if they'll just score you more points if no battles happen to occur in that territory. When you have those Valkyrie symbols, I really enjoy that a lot. I also enjoy the fact that if you lose, you're not just kind of out in the wind. You also get to fill in those horn symbols in Valhalla to score some more points. Now, there are fewer points than you do for victory, which is as it should be, I guess. But I also enjoyed that a lot as well. So the combat area control mechanism was a really cool thing for me. Another pro for me were the god cards that were in the game, and the fact that you could use your offerings to kind of garner the favor of the gods. Now, the two that came up during the gameplay were cards that they had to do with game end scoring, but that's not all that there are. There are also ones that says you can, for example, Frigg or Frigga says you can mark one Drakkar, one Valhalla horn, one letter when you would claim this god. If the Drakkar has a launch icon, deploy the warrior immediately. So that's an in-game bonus that you could actually have. The game does come with, let's see, there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 gods, and you only use 4, so that's another cool thing about this little mechanism. But Heimdall, before marking Drakkar, deploy warriors equal to the number of offerings you made. So Heimdall lets you do something. Loki, of course, is one of the gods. He every other player subtracts 2 from the amount of glory they collected on the round that you win Loki. So that's a little nefarious thing that he would do. Another game, end one for Eden. Score 1 victory point for each of your warriors left on the map. So that's a pretty cool thing. If you didn't have battles occur as much as you would want to, you still get a little bit of a bonus there at the end. So I like this mechanism. The gods and the offering mechanism work really well, and I liked it. Now, as far as my next pro for the game, the rest of the game feels like what you would probably expect from a roll and write game. Now, they're calling this a draft, write, and fight game. And I get it, and I think that's clever. It's a little pithy because you're drafting cards, you're not rolling, but you are writing things on a piece of paper, marking things off and scoring different kinds of points and all that kind of stuff. But then you are also fighting at the end. So the whole draft, write, and fight game is actually pretty cool. Everything that I've kind of explained to you in my pros thus far have been the things that kind of make it and differentiate it from the other roll and writes or flip and writes or draft and writes that might be out there. But everything else that's here that is kind of what you would expect from a roll and write or a draft and write or a flip and write, whatever, it's still pretty good, and that's kind of the thing that I'm using as my pro here. The other pros have been things that have kind of been, you know, the cherry on the icing, so to speak. And the icing itself is pretty good, or rather, I guess the cake itself is pretty good. It's a stupid analogy, but you kind of get what I'm saying, hopefully. The basis that you have here is pretty cool. All the other things that are on top of it, though, is what really makes it cool for me. Now, I do have a couple of cons of the game. The graphic design of the cards left me wanting something else. Now, I get that the graphic design of the card is very functional, and I think that is an important thing, but I think they could have done more with the graphic design of the cards to make them look better. I'm big on aesthetics, and so yes, it had all the information. It had everything in a very clear way. So they're very functional, and Yahoo for that. But they were also kind of drab and boring. So that's one con for the game for me. The other con for me was component quality. It's not bad component quality, but I wanted more than just wooden cubes. You know, even, geez Louise, you know, even if it was just standees, you know, even if it was just standees, that would be cooler, I think, than wooden blocks at this point, or wooden cubes at this point. But they're still functional, you know, so I get it. It's functional, but to have that oomph that I really wanted the game to have, I think better components and better graphic design on the cards would be great. That being said, I think that the player sheets, they're also double-sided, so that's cool. So you get 2 uses out of every piece of paper that you pull off of that ream. So that's a cool thing. And this is very well done, I think. The graphic design, the graphic layout of this is not so cramped as to not being able to understand what goes where, but it is also not sprawling. So I think these were actually good. I like these, which is one of the main components. It does come with 4 pencils that you'll have to sharpen after a while. But the component quality, generally speaking, will have to be a con for me, just because I wanted something more than cubes. So overall, my rating for Clans of Midgard is going to be a strong 7 out of 10. The reason it's a 7 out of 10 is because I really enjoyed this game, especially as far as roll and writes go, because that's really the category that this falls into. I understand that it's more than that, but that's really kind of the genre that we're talking about here, is roll and write games. I would rather play this roll and write over a lot of other roll and writes that are out there, just because I find it's more interesting because of the extra things that are going on. Competing for the gods, the gods' favor, competing for the different areas that are on the board, and all of those kinds of things. The closed drafting system that's in it. I really enjoy all of those things a lot more than most of the other mechanisms that are employed in other roll and writes. So I really did enjoy this game. Unfortunately, the component quality, while it's not going to keep me from playing the game because I do enjoy it, I wish it would have been better. And if the component quality would have been better, even if these had just been standees, you probably would be, for me specifically, probably going up to about an 8 out of 10. But the graphic design on the cards and the wooden cubes for warriors was kind of blah, blah, blah for me. So that knocked off an entire point, just because I'm really big on aesthetics. But anyway, that's a 7 out of 10 from me. Thank you for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. We certainly hope that we'll see you back here very soon. Until then, we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. So take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.